Got it. Perfect. Well, hello and welcome everybody. Just excited to be here once again, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, coming to you live or recorded from Utah. Man, lots of happenings going on, lots of good things going on, and super excited to share with you tonight. So if you are just joining us for the first time, or if you're watching the replay, or if you've been with us the whole time, there's two goals that we have each and every week with this call. First goal is to bring and discuss relevant topics that are required to understand to have success building a home-based business. And the second part of the call that is our goal is to continue creating an archive of really important topics, timeless topics, topics that are forever new. There's a great saying, old is forever new. And what does that mean? It says there are innate truths or innate wisdoms that are laws of the universe, innate wisdoms that are laws of the way things work. And once you understand those laws, you can have those laws either work against you or work for you. And so what we're compiling here is we're compiling an archive of really all the different philosophies and the laws and the skills that are going to be required of you to go ahead and to build a business that is forever green. And, the thing that is so exciting about this is two things. That first of all, if you are joining us for the first time years from now, say it's 2025 and you're getting started with us, these principles will still remain valuable. These principles will still remain true. The other thing that's really amazing is that each and every one of us need motivation. Each and every one of us need to refresh ourselves. And so there's a great saying that says that, motivation is like bathing. That's why we do it every day. And so if you find yourself in a position in the business as you're growing, as you are advancing to new levels, as you are growing teams, there will be times where you will come and you will listen to archives that we're creating, and the same message will hit you differently, because the message is the message, but it is how we are and where we meet the message in our journey that is so important, because we take this information, we learn and we grow and we apply it. And then suddenly things that maybe we didn't understand or things that were not relevant to us in one stage of our business become massively relevant to us. Maybe it's when you're trying to, break through a plateau. Maybe it's when you're trying to help somebody counsel and break through a plateau of theirs. Take things to a new country, take things to a new market, right? Grow people from 6 to 7 figures, right? So many different things and different chapters that we will each face as we grow the business. So the archive of this is super, super important. And the last piece of the puzzle is that one of the things that you can do as a leader is, as you watch these with us, and as you're a part of this, and as you implement and learn and start to put these philosophies and these actions into your own business, you can make a mental reference, or you can look back in the archives, this EMFQ channel, and you can recall which messages or which thoughts were the most valuable to you. And if you do that, then what you start to do is you start to build a tool set that you can share with people. Because here's what we know is that if you're going to build a massive organization, the laws that govern people, the laws that govern growth, tend to be the same laws. And so what happens is that there's an idea that there's no new mistakes, there's just new people making old mistakes. So one thing that may happen is that you may hit those roadblocks or have those challenges yourself. And if you don't, if you're fortunate not to, absolutely somebody that you are mentoring, somebody that you are helping to grow will. And so eventually, imagine this with me, it's 2024, it's 2025, it's 2026, your business is so big. There's so many people that are running up against different, aspects that they need to grow through, that you don't have necessarily the time to repeat to each and every one of those people what those specific things are that they need to grow through. But what you know is that there's an archive of different topics, of different things that were addressed, of different philosophies, of different mentalities that you can point to, so that now you not only can specifically help someone who needs a certain type of counsel, and you can make them feel appreciated and make them feel seen, but you can also leverage a tool that will exist forevermore, so that you can get more valuable impact out of your time. Because imagine the possibility of not trying to be the message, but maybe the mentorship that you have with somebody a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, is to sit down with them and to talk to them about what it was that they heard when you referred them back to call number 21, call number 26, call number 29. And also, how many times have we heard the saying that it says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink? Well, how many times when you're building a big organization, one of the laws is that you're going to have many, many, many people. Your career in this type of business is going to be comprised of tens of thousands of different people that are at all different stages in their lives, all different stages of influence, all different stages of personal development. And one of the things that we know is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So somebody might call you and say, hey, I'm stuck on this. And one of the fastest ways that you can figure out if they're really willing to take action on what they're asking you for is if you refer them to a tool like this, a recording specifically that says, hey, this is how you cultivate the mindset of not only figuring out your own why, but figuring out why this. Hey, this is how you figure out the mindset of linear versus nonlinear income. Hey, this is how you figure out the mindset of how to build local, but go global, right? Or any different aspect of things that are in this archive. And when they watch it and they come back to you, they say, okay, I took the half hour to watch the call. What do I do now? Now you can really offer real mentorship because you know you have somebody that's willing and able because they've demonstrated it to you. So that's one of the huge goals that we have here is to just have an evergreen archive of really, really sound content that will be useful to everybody who builds this business with us today, tomorrow, and forevermore. So tonight's topic that we're going to get into, and I'm super excited about this, is the concept of cultivating a list. And why this is so important is that if you've done a home-based business or a people-based business for long enough, one of the phenomenons that is going to happen is that people are going to feel like they don't know who to talk to. They're going to feel like they don't have anybody left. And one of the other things that is guaranteed to happen, whether it's happened to you already or it happens to you later, is that eventually, unfortunately, but eventually, somebody who had a lot of potential and a lot of promise and was enthusiastic and was growing the business is going to leave the business. They're going to go to another company. They're going to go to another opportunity. They're going to go to another career path or something like that. And that's fine. And we wish them well. You know, not all things are for all people, but here's what I've learned after 15 years of observation in this. The number one reason why people leave a business is because their organization is either not growing or it is in decline. And the challenge is that the number one reason that organizations go into decline is because the organization as a whole or the leader of the organization stops focusing on the vital few. And the vital few is, of course, not only mentorship, not only driving lines, not only promoting for events, not only developing leaders, but it is also, of course, sharing product, gathering customers, and recruiting new influencers. And so the really, really unfortunate truth is that I would be willing to wager that 9 out of 10 times or more over the last 15 years, when somebody leaves an organization, they don't necessarily find the success that they think that they will by making a move. And the reason is because wherever you go, there you are. The people who have already had success, sure, they're going to move and they're going to continue to have success. The people that maybe have been rising or having moderate levels of success might leave, and then they might have create a little wave, and they might have some new people that join them as they move on to the next organization. Some people might come that they've met in the last one, but inevitably they tend to hit a wall again that is very similar to the wall that they have hit before. And what's so interesting about this is that this has nothing to do just with home-based business. It has to do with every type of business that exists that is a people-based business. So I've seen this happen in my friends who work in the insurance businesses. I've seen this happen in the real estate business. I've seen this happen in the home-based business industry. I've seen this happen in the coaching business. And the anecdote, the way that you make sure that you're not subject to this is by learning the skill set, the number one skill set of cultivating a list. So one of the reasons why Kevin and I decided to partner and to go into this particular company is that we wanted to surround ourselves with individuals who had a higher level of net worth than the people that maybe we had been doing business with or that we had been associating with. And so one of the key components about partnering with the owner of this company is that he's in the 8-figure realm of net worth, and he talks endlessly about the idea of cultivating a list, a database, right? And so what he always says, he said, the basics of marketing are incredibly simple. You basically have to create a list, you have to cultivate that list, then you have to market to that list. And I will quote the infamous Grant Cardone. The thing is that most people think that they need to be in a business because they have a money problem. But most people don't have a money problem. They have a people problem. See, if you have people and you know how to cultivate a list and to market that list, you can go anywhere and do anything and you can generate revenue. But if you don't have that, it becomes very difficult no matter where you go. Now, the good news is that this is a skill set that you can learn. And one of the things I'm really excited to have Kevin talk about tonight is that he's a master of cultivating a database. He's been doing it. I've been watching him do it for the last 15 years. And he's absolutely not a natural at this. This is something that he learned. And there's many different ways that we can learn it. And we're going to talk about a couple of those different ways right now. So the first way that you might hear people talk about cultivating a list is through email marketing or through internet marketing, lead capture pages, and so forth and so on. And while that certainly might seem attractive, the truth is that if you have big email lists or if you have big capture pages or something like that, the conversion ratio of how many names that have to come in and then what you do to actually market to those people and to make connections with those people and start to develop with those people and turn them into clients, the ratios are incredibly difficult. It actually winds up costing a fair amount of money because every single business, no matter what business you're in, has a customer acquisition cost. It's the cost that it takes to get a customer in the front door, right? And so this is anything from a car dealership running ads to, the pawn shop having the little flippy guy on the corner to people that you see on Facebook or Instagram running pay-per-click ads or putting banners on websites or building blogs or, and so on and so on and so on. And unfortunately, for most people who are looking to add an additional stream of income to their household, the person that's already working full time, the person that already says, you know what, if I could make an extra $300 a month in my spare time, part-time, doing something other than working more hours at my job, following a simple system, that is not realistic for them suddenly now to have to become a branding savant, a marketing savant, an email list savant, figuring out how to email without getting too high of a bounce rate, without getting, URLs blocking them and so forth and so on, right? And so what we're huge proponents of is simply learning how to develop relationships with people in real life. And so the idea that I learned early on was an acronym called FORD or FORM. And all that means is that the way that you can make connections with people that are meaningful is basically to meet them, learn about them, and take interest in their worlds, right? If you've ever heard this, is that everybody's favorite subject is themselves. Everybody has a sign on their forehead that says with them. It's what's in it for me. And so if you come into the equation and you start to talk to somebody and you start telling them how, we have this great product and there's all this money that you can make, that's great. That's fine. They might like that. But if you take the time to cultivate a relationship with somebody over time, when it comes time for them to look to do something, or when it comes time for you to have, a promotion that's running, or when you have, a new leg that you want to start developing, or you want to take an organization to a different country and you need something, it is so easy to ask a favor or to ask somebody to look at something when they already know that you like and care about them. So the super, super easy way to start to develop those relationships with individuals as you meet them is to, of course, ask questions. And the model of form is so important, which is basically family, occupation, recreation, and motive, or family, occupation, recreation, and dream if you're going to go forward. And so what that looks like is that if you can start playing this game, you can start playing this game with the people that you run into at work. You can start playing this game with people that are part of your family, right? You don't have to be marketing to somebody, and you don't have to be talking to somebody about your business ever to still learn how to have great skills. And so if you can start to ask questions about, hey, How's your wife? Did she get that promotion that, you were talking about? Hey, how are the kids? Hey, what happened with the soccer game? Hey, is so-and-so season over? It doesn't have to be amazing. Hey, what's going on at work? Hey, you were up for a promotion. Hey, how did the store do this month? Hey, what was this quarter looking like? Hey, what are you guys doing this next season? Hey, what have you guys been doing for fun? Hey, are you guys getting the boat out for the summer? Hey, like there's so many things that you can talk about. So what did I just do? Family, occupation, recreation. And then the really interesting one to always ask is, hey, what do you have that's coming up that you're looking forward to? Do you guys have any summer travel coming up? Are you going to get anything in before the kids go back to school in the fall? So forth and so on, right? Or motive. Hey, what's going on in your dreams? Hey, have you been looking, for example, to get a rental property? Hey, have you been thinking about college funds at all? Like there's so many different ways to ask for the future. And here's what happens is that if you start to make this a practice, first of all, you will get in the business of collecting friends because all of a sudden you're a breath of fresh air. How many times, I also challenge anybody that's watching this right now, go around your daily life this week. And when you're standing in line at the checkout store, maybe you're at Costco or maybe at your, wherever you go, right? Eavesdrop, put your elephant ears on and start thinking and listening to what people are actually saying. Because 99% of conversations go something like this. Hey, how's your day going? Oh, not bad. No complaints. I'm like, geez, we're freaking on this planet Earth, human beings. We've been gifted the gift of life. And that's the best you can do. Like, come on, man. And so it's not a criticism of people. It's just that most people are operating at this sub level of connection. And so suddenly, if you start to become the person that just says, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What's new, man? The last time we talked, I remember that you were saying that your wife was trying to wrap up her cosmetology school. Did she get done with that? Oh my gosh, can you believe it's 1,200 hours to get cosmetology school done? And so then a magical thing happens, because if you start to develop these types of friendships with people like this, you have to learn a very, very simple line, which is the last time that we talked, I remember. And so whatever you need to do as you start to go around and have these types of conversations with people, to remember simple details about what's going on. The last time that we talked, I remember that your kid was just playing for state championships in soccer. What happened with that? How did they do? Oh my gosh, they lost in the finals, the heartbreak. There's so many ways to develop connection now when you understand just one step further than most people of what's going on in somebody's life. And then guess what? Here's the other thing that happens. Have you ever felt like you want to grow the business? You want to make moves in the business. You know people that are so cool that you'd love to have in your business, but you don't know how to talk to them. Well, one of the magical things that happens is that when you start to lead with questions, eventually people will ask you questions back. And now you get opportunities to share offhandedly many of the different things that might be happening in your life, right? And you can say, hey, people ask all the time, hey, how's this going? Hey, how's that going? How's work? How's your new condo? How's, whatever happened with that? What happened with the divorce? What happened? And it's like, you can say, oh, you know what? Like, so such and such happened, this and this and that. I've been working on a little side thing, kind of excited about it. And what happens is that now your business starts to become something that you naturally talk about. You're not this weird, stuffy, like salesperson that rolls up their shirt sleeve and says, hey, you want to buy a watch? You want to buy some electrolytes? You want to buy some greens? You just become a natural human being that cares about other humans. And then here's another thing that's amazing that happens when you learn this, is that if somebody is not open at any particular light, let's say you make an invitation, they look at some information, they're not really open or looking or interested in doing a business, it is not weird to just go back to whatever the next thing that is talking about. Okay, cool, no worries. Well, hey, if you think of anybody, blah, 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 blah. Because then if you assume the relationship, let's say that you talk to them once every 3 months, you say, hey man, the last time that we talked, I remember that you guys were going to go on a trip this summer. How did it go? Did you guys wind up going? Where would you go? You got a camper? How cool? So forth and so on. So you can foster relationships. And then I'm going to finish with this before I hand it over to Kevin, because Kevin, of course, if you've ever met him, you've probably been asked what your birthday is. And although that's, really clever and he has a lot of passion for astrology and it's a super interesting and relevant personal development tool, what it also was is it was an authentic way that he learned how he could take an interest in somebody else to create a meaningful connection and to be not only memorable, but to add value and then to find a creative way to keep in touch. So what an epic way to basically meet somebody, learn their birthday, put their birthday in his phone, and then keep up with them on their birthday every next year. And now I'm going to finish with this, is that one of the things that happens to us, it happens to me, it happens to Kevin, it's going to happen to you, is that you're going to feel like, I need people now. And here's what I have to tell you. The good news is I have a solution for this. The bad news is you're always going to need people now. So next year is going to come. And what you have to decide for yourself, what I have to decide for myself, what Kevin has to decide for himself, is that I cannot control what has come before me today. I cannot change what is behind me right now. Whatever my relationship equity looks like, however many connections I have, whatever my database looks like today, it is what it is. But I can learn and I can start to cultivate differently. So what if a year from now you had a database of 350 new people that you had developed connections with, that you asked forward questions to, and you found a creative way to keep in touch? And so that's less than one a day. It's like 0.9 people a day, so you're kind of looking for, no, I'm just kidding. And it's like, if you had 300 meaningful connections a year from now today, do you think that you might be able to find the right people, the right 3 people out of those 300 by then just asking a favor, ask them to look at something, to go and open the country that you want to work in, to go and take you into South America, to go and take this to the European Union, to go and, build this all over Nebraska, right? Like, there's so many creative things that you can do to grow your business once you have people. Because again, you don't have a money problem, you have a people problem. And so my goal is that between me and between Kevin tonight, is that you might have a renewed idea of some ways that you can start tomorrow and to cultivate a list of new connections, so that when inevitably you need people 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now, you have that resource and you have a whole group of people who are excited to be connected with you because you've taken an interest with them. So that's everything I got. I'm super excited about it. And for all you guys that don't know, my birthday's in July, and here's the birthday man himself.
Dude, that is so good. It's funny because there were so many little nuggets, and a long time ago, I used to teach there was like 6 steps you needed to do to be good with people. And Peyton went over like 3 or 4 of them just now. I would say, and I guess I would start and preface with like a question, but the question would be, I'd have the question at the beginning of this. I'd say, do you actually care? Or are you full of crap? Do you actually care? Because that's the honest question you have to have with yourself at the beginning and at the end and in the moment right before you take action, talking to the guy behind you in line or saying a little extra with the cashier or whatever as you go about your daily life, the coworker, the person that enters your orbit. So do you actually care? And then I always say this quote, but I'm going to say it again. The quality of your life is the quality of the questions you ask yourself, and the quality of your relationships, the questions you ask other people. I have one question always. It's like, what do I hope to get out of this? That's what I'm asking as I'm driving to the meeting. What do you want out of this meeting? And I'm like, honestly, I kind of just want to make sure that everybody feels loved and seen, and that they're like stoked about AAO and active greens and what we're doing. Maybe if they sign somebody up or talk to somebody new, that'd be awesome. But like, that would be extra. I just try to do that. So I'm always clear about what it is I want. And it's always something that's like good, which tells me, hey, Kevin, you're not actually a bad person. I think you care about people. And then that makes me smile inside. And I'm like, yay, I know I don't suck, So I'm like, that's me. I care. I know that about myself because I've asked questions. So I'm asking you that's watching this right now in the moment is, do you care? Or are you full of crap? I've asked it before, but this is the question, because to build your list is to give a crap. It's to care. It's to care. So a lot of people, if they were being honest with themselves, like, no, I don't really care. I just want to make some money selling some greens. Okay, well, building your list is still something you have to do. So now you have to have a real honest question. Well, how can I gain connection with people without caring? And they're going to feel that. They're going to smell it. Like an animal smells a bad situation. And then the very fear that you have that causes you to not take action 9 out of 10 times is you're worrying what they're going to think. And you're worrying how you're perceived. You're worrying about you. And it's like, stop being so selfish. That's what that is. That's selfish. You're focused on you. Now I want to break it down. Tony Robbins says the quality of your relationships is the quality of the questions you ask other people. There's a quote that I would say that was the first step of my 6 steps with people. Number 1 was the person that asks the questions controls the conversation. If you have a spotlight, you can shine on stuff. Questions moves the spotlight. And you're like asking about what Peyton said. Well, step 5 was have good form or good forward. You know, family, occupation, recreation, and motive, or family, occupation, recreation, and then your dream. And we work on dreams here. But if you ask questions, the light and the attention is not on you. So you do not have to worry or be insecure or overthink the process, because as long as you're asking questions, it's like you're the guy with the gun. You're like, all right, like, you know what I mean? You're asking the questions. And the second step of the second thing is people's favorite subjects are themselves. Peyton always talked about that too. What subject should I talk? Well, 3, have good form or good forward. Oh, perfect. And then this one, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk. And when you talk, ask questions and then listen. Why is the attention on you? I used to go out on dates. I'd go out on a date and have 3 parts. There'd be food, some kind of activity, and then we would stay talking somewhere you could like talk, whether that was outside, inside, somewhere. And that was 3 steps on a date. On a date, I would go out on a date and I'd be flabbergasted how much I would learn about the other person. And I would pause at different times of the conversation to see if they would ask me any questions. And I realized most people didn't ask questions because most people didn't actually care. So I ask you the question again. Do you actually care, or are you full of crap? Again, because that right there is the question. And so it's like, I would ask all these questions on a date, and I would know everything about them. They'd know nothing about me, but they'd think I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, they don't know anything about me. They didn't ask one question. And so I started doing this maybe like 12 years ago, where I would ask like 10 or 20 people in a day, just because I was curious how their day was on a 1 to 10 scale. Peyton talked about that too. And then I'd ask why. And nobody'd ever ask me back, like ever. And you assume everybody would ask you back, but you're like, no, because you're one of the real ones right now. You're one of the real ones, because you'd ask back, I'm sure. And if you wouldn't, well, then there you're getting an answer to your question. I don't want to be the shyster salesman guy. I have played so much with a good segue in conversation to bring up against all odds with somebody I just forged a connection with. I blow myself out every single time, still to this day, and I've probably done it 100 to 200 times, like all the way through. I haven't found a way yet. And then we found a way using the system. Not us, the system. The system. No matter how much birthdays, no matter how much like talking and the steps and the thing, I still strike out right now, 10 for 10, 100 for 100 on that one. It just doesn't feel right when you bring up business like, oh, you're forged a connection with me because you wanted to sell me something. Fold arms, step back, energetically, like there's a body language shudder. You're like, okay, I ruined it. Anyway, standing down, see you later. Damn it. You know, walk away. Like every single time, every time I go to the gym, I'm like work out by somebody. I'd be like, man, insert compliment about something they did and or are. When's your birthday? Then they're like, they tell me their birthday. Oh, what do you do? They tell me what they do. I imagine what their day-to-day life would be like and ask questions as if I was there to try to understand it. And then because I'm playing the brain phone cinematic in my moment of what their life might be like. And I'm like, oh man, so did you just get here or whatever? And it's like from work or whatever. And then you realize all day they have a backgrounding energy of knowing they have to check their phone a bunch to know they have to go to work. That would suck. So I ask them if that's how it is, and they tell me it is, and they laugh. And then they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, they asked a question. They care. It's just funny. You want to build the list. And for 10 years, I was not doing a business like this. So much in my life, I did that anyways. And I didn't collect their names. I didn't get their phone numbers. I didn't put their birthdays in my phone number and with a picture of them and their email. I didn't add them to social media. I didn't care. I just didn't care. I was living my life with my children and my wife, and we were busy. And it's like, I would have hundreds of people that I could talk to about this business if I would have just cared. If I would have just cared, but I didn't care. I was just busy in my life, so I didn't want to have the conversation. So I didn't want to do the thing. It's like I didn't care. So I choose to care now. And by me caring, I am active, but I'm just the ambassador for what it is. And it's like, hey, you drink this, it's going to give your body what your body needs to do what it's supposed to do, and your body's going to do that better. And that's awesome. And you should do that every day as the building block of everything you're going to do, because that's good and it's cheaper than what you would get out there, and it's better. That's like a check. It's one of those things. You just have to like, how do you build the thing if you don't go out, if you're not in public, if it's one of those things? It's like social media is like when you're super hungry and you eat a bag of chips. You took in seed oils, you have like a bunch of carbs that cause inflammation, and like you just kind of feel a little bit sick to your stomach, slightly acidic, and you're still hungry for a meal, but like it didn't really postpone the inevitable. You just feel worse. That's what social media is for everyone. And they don't realize it yet. And they're sort of a slave to it, but they're there. And we don't want to do this on there. Like, hey guys, look at me, look at my greens. Like nobody wants to do that. That's not the way. But you could be cultivating and building your list because you're engaging in someone's life, but with a comment. You're remembering their birthday. You're like saying something in their reel when you think it. Again, that's caring. If you see it, say it. And then the person gets like, you're throwing sunshine instead of shade, so to speak. So when the time comes to bring up the business, maybe it's because you saw based on their post that now they're at 12 o'clock, but because 5 or 6 times you engaged by caring and like stand out, then that becomes a thing. So it's not just for the business. It's like, this becomes what happens when you need a dump trailer at your house. This is what happens when you need to move. This is what happens, God forbid, someone passes away and people are there for you. It's these little connections and moments. And isn't that what life is? Social media is trying to fill the connection space that we as humans need, because we're like pack animals. We require connection. We're getting these cheap dopamine hits online while it's the bag of chips and we want a meal. Our meetings are a meal. Come to one of our meetings. If you have one in your area, if not, make one and we will come to you. You think the connection happens for me in my mind when I post a meme in my story on Facebook and I can see who viewed it, and then who I see who views them consistently and once in a while likes something, I'll go hit up their stuff and kind of like make comments and things. And next thing you know, they're asking me what I do. And then I get the opportunity to share it with them. Or I'll say, hey, I love the stuff you post. Will you check this out? It's something I'm working on. I'm really excited about. And I send them a video. And then they want more information. I send another video. And then I send a link to something. I send a link to something. And sometimes they want to do it and sometimes they don't. But you're building a list. Dan talks about building the list. It's the first step to being a good marketer. It's like the first step to building a business. Cultivating the list we'll talk about next week, a little bit better on the details, presenting and all the aspects there. We're working on a presentation now, but the system will work if you work the system. You have to dig your well before you get thirsty, like Peyton said. You got to dig your well before you get thirsty. So if I was talking about those 6 steps, the other one was matching people's energy. I love to mirror other people, their tone, their body language. I'll stand like they're standing. I'll put my arms like they put their arms. I like to talk like they talk for a sec to just kind of match their energy. And then I just go back to being me. And sometimes they jump with me and sometimes I blow myself out and it's kind of awkward, but it's life, we're doing it. And the end of the day, people's opinions don't pay your bills and you're going to die. And it's you in that experience one day. And you can't take any of it with you. And only what you give is what you get to keep. And what the legacy you leave behind is these little moments. They say your life is your message. And it's like, Don't you want to be a person that cares? So my question to you is like Peyton's question combined with my question, because Peyton said, if you could have 360 meaningful connections next year, how much better would your business look? That, for lack of a better paraphrase, my question to you is, yeah, but if you got that and you didn't care versus if you did that because you cared, which one would feel better? I hope you guys have a good week this week, and thanks for tuning into our call. And make sure that you, if you like this, subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we put one up. And we do this every Sunday, 8 o'clock Utah time, live, no matter what. Do that call. Thank you guys tonight.